Sports world has completely reimagined courage in just 20 years. Last night's ESPYs were a low point for the Arthur Ashe Award. And yes, I'm well aware that ESPN previously handed the same award to a gay late-round NFL draft pick, Michael Sam, and to Bruce Jenner for changing his name, style of dress, and pronouns. This is worse. Sam and Jenner at least risk ridicule.
The ESPYs have turned into the sports version of the Oscars. It's a bunch of virtue signaling people patting themselves on the back, telling you how bad you are and how bad the country is. It really is virtue signaling at its best. The NBA stars like LeBron James never say anything negative about China. It looks as if the people in the audience and on stage are obligated to applaud transgenderism or ignore it altogether, as if it's not even an issue for the actual women who are attending the event. Listen to what Jason Whitlock had to say about the ESPYs.
The U.S. women's national soccer team has been the toast of the American media since Brandi Chastain stripped to her sports bra in 1999.
What I find very interesting is I don't think another woman could ever get away with it in today's day and age what Brandi Chastain did by whipping off her shirt and just showing her sports bra. Oh my God, that would just freak people out these days. So let's continue.
They're the most celebrated and entitled athletes on the planet. The penalty for questioning the outright lies they tell to line their pockets is expulsion from the mainstream media. To remain in the good graces of corporate media, you're required to pretend Megan Rapinoe and company faced fire hoses, police canines, burning crosses, and lived on government cheese to win a gold medal.
He said government cheese. That is so funny. They act like they're so oppressed, like they've gone through so much hardship and oppression just to be athletes for the soccer team for America. It's all a bunch of lies. It's crap. It's being force-fed on us like we have no choice but to accept what they're saying.
It's all a lie. The lie is being propagated in hopes that WNBA players are successful in executing the same scam.
And it is a scam. These leagues are not self-sufficient. The WNBA is never going to make enough money to sustain itself. It's just not going to happen. The NBA is pouring millions and millions of dollars to keep this thing afloat when there is no chance that it's ever going to be profitable. Yet you still have the women playing in the WNBA crying for more money and want to fly private and they want everything the guys have, but you're not making any money.
Despite losing millions of dollars annually, corporate media continues to argue that the tall, tatted lesbians of the WNBA are worthy of massive pay increases and private travel.
You see, most of us have earned money based upon merit. We've earned the ability to make more money. We've done certain things to make more money. It's not just placed upon us because we're women. That's the only merit they have. They want private planes. They want higher salaries. Why? You haven't earned it. Nobody's coming to your games. Nobody wants to watch the crap on TV, but you think you're worth more. Where did they get this crazy, inflated sense of self-worth? I'll tell you where. The media.
Anyone noticing a pattern? The lies all seem to serve the same special interest group. Brittany Griner, Michael Sam, Caitlyn Jenner, Megan Rapinoe, William Leah Thomas, and on, all play for the alphabet mafia.
It's so true. Without the alphabet mafia, as Jason calls them, these people would not have any leg to stand on. They don't warrant more money. But for some reason, corporate media and a lot of corporate business decide to keep promoting this and pushing it down people's throat without paying attention to the fact that people are onto your scam. That's the big scam. What Jason said there was absolutely true, but it gets worse. Watch the outright propaganda and communist-like manipulation that the ESPYs pulled off and put on people right here. Now, this was broadcast during the ESPYs. Now, I'm going to show you the clip that they aired, which the sound isn't that great, and then I'm going to show you where they pulled the clip and how out of context they took this entire clip from First Take. You're not going to believe that they actually broadcast this propaganda during the ESPYs.
Critics pushing back at them.
I think equal pay is a ridiculous concept in and of itself. Soccer, for better or worse, on the men's side across this globe is much more popular than the women's.
Oh, we get that argument all the time.
She gets that argument all the time because it's true. Nobody's making it up. You just don't want to accept it. Now, you just saw that little clip that they broadcast in the ESPYs where the women complained about not getting pay enough and say it's a false argument, a false narrative. Listen to the entire clip. Watch this exchange that took place on First Take on ESPN, who's owned by ABC, that was broadcasting the ESPYs. This is just unbelievable gaslighting they tried to do here.
Here, no. Tell you why it's like this. Now, there's two things, first of all. When you talk about, as Trevor Scales just laid out, the bonus difference between the men's team and the women's team, between what a winner, if it had been the U.S. men, would get in the World Cup and the women. The women got a pool, or got paid out from a pool of $30 million from the Women's World Cup. The men would draw from a pool of $400 million, okay? $400 million, $30 million. Why is that? It's because the Men's World Cup generates $6 billion in revenue. The Women's World Cup generates $131 million in revenue.
Simple economics. That's all it is. It's simple economics. 6 billion, a couple hundred million. It's simple economics, but they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that the pay scales are based upon simple economics. Economics don't matter anymore. What matters is virtue. I'm a woman. I need to be paid as much as you. And don't get me started about you thinking, you can compete with me. But right now, I just want your money as well. It's insane, absolutely insane.
If you want to talk about pay disparity, the Women's World Cup players get paid out 20% of the total revenue. The men get paid out 7%.
Have you heard that said by anybody? And all of the virtue signaling propaganda BS that they've been pushing out about equal pay, equal pay, equal pay. Have they talked to you about the percentages? Have they talked to you in reference to simple economics terms? No, of course not. They don't want you to know this.
As a percentage point, they are getting much more. The problem is, for anybody desiring equal pay, and by the way, I think equal pay is a ridiculous concept in and of itself. If the women generate more revenue, they should get paid more than the men. Don't strive for getting the same, strive for getting what you're worth. And if
Thank you. I never understood that. I taught that to my daughter, and I'm going to be instilling it into my grandkids. Don't try to be as good as this person. That person is your benchmark. What you want to do is try to be better than that person. I want to elevate my game, my league, my team to be even better than the benchmark. This equity thing is absolutely crazy, and it's never going to work. That's why I said communist-like. Oh, I need to be paid what you're paid. No. Why don't you get better? Why don't you fill the stands? Why don't you get better ratings so that you can make more money? Just don't demand it because of, what's between your legs or what's not between your legs.
you're worth more, then get more. And so what I'm saying to you right now is soccer, for better or worse, on the men's side, across this globe, is much more popular than women's soccer.
The women's game had higher ratings than the men's, though.
No, that's pretty stupid, and she's about to be schooled, basically bitch slapped for what she just said.
What do you say to that?
Charlie, that's in the United States.
That was in the U.S.
And that's comparing a women's World Cup final that featured the United States against a men's World Cup final in the United States that didn't feature the U.S. team. So you're at...
Ouch. Ouch. That's all you can say about that. Don't come to an argument not equipped to discuss what's being discussed. And that's what a lot of the media hope happens. They don't want you to know these facts. But fortunately, the people seem to be catching on to this BS. I say fortunate, I can also say very unfortunately for the propagandists. Check out the ratings for the ESPYs. This is just incredible, and you won't believe it. And I'm sure there's a bunch of people in boardrooms across the country going, what the hell is going on? Check this out. So the ratings for the ESPYs finally came out late last night, and you're not going to believe these numbers. I got a couple passages highlighted for you so you can take a look. ESPY Awards viewership declined once again. And then there's a whole paragraph here about the ESPY Awards. This is direct correlation to what's been going on the stage. Wednesday's ESPY Awards averaged a 1.4 rating and 2.3 million viewers on ABC, down 7% from last year. And the lowest rated and least watched edition of the event, excluding the COVID years, in a decade. The event averaged nearly 3 million more viewers as recently as 2017. So what's happened since 2017? Well, obviously we had the pandemic, but we've also had this explosion of social justice BS. And it's been reflected and put in sports, and we can't extricate ourselves from it. And people aren't having it. This is the worst ESPY's show rating in over a decade, and this decline and slide is steep. It just keeps going down. As much money as ABC and the sports leagues want to pour into this, the more people are walking away. They don't want to see it. I don't need to see people up on stage pontificating and telling me how good life would be if I just did what they wanted me to do. We're not having this bullshit anymore. If you have to grossly manipulate viewers to embrace your propaganda, then your stance, your narrative is basically invalid. And that's what ESPN has done. You people have basically allowed and endorsed politics to invade sports. And the people are sick of it. You're making us all take a stand for what we believe. We're not just going to take your side because you tell us to. You just lace up sneakers and run around bases and catch touchdowns. That's the only difference. I don't care what your ideology is. Gone are the good old days when we could watch a sporting event without being preached to. As Bud Light found out, so now have the ESPYs. Well done, ESPN. Well done. I just hope that Pat McAfee hasn't destroyed his brand and fractured his audience by hitching his wagon to ESPN. Let me know what you think in the comments, but I am so over the ESPYs. I'd love to know how you feel about the constant infusion of virtue signaling into sports. Talk to you soon.